every single hour of every single day inside a government facility in Washington DC. Paper is turned into money. These massive printing machines are running 24 into 7, pumping out $500 million into the US economy every single day. Sounds like a lot, right? Half a billion in just 24 hours. But here's the thing, compared to how much money really exists, that's basically just a drop in the bucket. Because most of our money is not even physically, it doesn't exist in cash, coins, or even gold. It exists digitally on screens, in bank accounts, and every single day that digital number grows by over $4 billion, typed into existence with just a few keystrokes. So where is all this money actually coming from? Who creates it? And why does this system always leaves you in a debt? Let's rewind history, model the entire system, and uncover how money really works. Before money, there was a barter. Thousands of years ago, if a farmer need a new tool, he went to the village tool maker. But what if he didn't have anything to trade that day? In many cases, they struck a deal. I will owe you later. The tool maker trusted the farmer to come back with food after harvest. That promise itself had value. Over time, though trading promises was not enough, people wanted something they could exchange instantly with anyone, anywhere. That's when common goods become currency. Cattle, salt, grain, everyone need them. But they were scarce, which made them valuable. But carrying around cattle or sacks of grains not exactly convenient. So humanity settled on something smaller, shinier, and far more durable: metal coins. Gold and silver were not just pretty, they were scarce, divisible, and lasted forever. Suddenly, trade exploded. Merchants in China could sell to traders in Europe, and coins were accepted across the thousands of miles. The world had its first true global currency. But coins were heavy, risky to travel with, are vulnerable to theft. Enter the goldsmith of 17th century London. People began storing their gold with them for safekeeping. In exchange, the goldsmith gave out a receipt, a promised note that said, "This paper equals this much gold." Here is the clever part. People realized the notes themselves were just as good as the gold. Why go collect heavy coins when they could just trade with note instead? But then Goldsmith spotted an opportunity. They noticed most people never came to claim their gold at the same time. So they started printing extra notes, fake promises that were not backed by actual gold. They loaned those notes out with interest, making profit out of a thin air as long as nobody demanded their gold all at once. The system worked. And just like that, new money was born without any new gold. Fast forward to today, and we have basically replaced the goldsmith with a bank and paper notes with digital numbers. When you deposit money into your bank account, you probably imagine it sitting safely in a vault. But that's not really true. What you can see your bank app is just an IOU. The bank's promises that you can withdraw it if you want. And when a bank gives you a loan, they don't hand you a stack of cash from their reserves. No, they just type the numbers into your account. Brand new money created instantly. This is true magic trick of modern banking. Money appears out of nowhere, but disappears again when you repay the loan, leaving the bank richer from the interest you paid. But here is the twist. That fake money actually fuels real life. You say take out a loan to buy a car, the dealership gets paid. Employees earn salaries, workers spend their wages at grocery stores, and those shop owners invest in new stock. That single loan sets off hundreds, even thousands of transactions, creating jobs, technology, and growth. In fact, without new money constantly being created, our economy would grind to halt. But there is a catch, and you have definitely felt it: inflation. If the economy keeps producing new money but not enough new goods, prices rise. Suddenly, the loaf of bread that cost $1 last year cost $1.2 this year. Your salary doesn't stretch as far, and your savings shrink in value. That's why banks are supposed to limit how much money they create. But in practice, they have a lot of freedom. And if they can run out of reserves, they can just borrow more from the central bank. When the government needs money, it does not just print it directly. Instead of issue the bonds, IOU promising future payments, banks, corporations and foreign countries buy these bonds, giving the government cash to spend. That money pays workers, builds infrastructure, funds the military and the eventually flows back into the banking system. But there is the problem. The US government almost always spend more than it makes in taxes. Last year alone, it spent nearly $7 trillion and taxes couldn't cover the full bill. So it issued even more bonds, digging the debt hole deeper. The cycle never really stops. The government borrows, spends, repays, and borrows again. Banks keep creating money, people keep taking loan, and the total money supply keeps expanding. Even though it all began with nothing more than a typed promise. So yes, the money in your wallet, your saving account, even your retirement fund, it is all a part of a system built on the IOU and trust. But here's a hopeful part. This system is not doomed. Debt is not always bad. If bank and government direct new money toward productive things like education, renewable energy or building new businesses, the money can create real long-term value. The danger is not that money is fake, the danger is when fake money gets wasted. So the next time you swipe your card or check your bank balance, remember you are looking at promises. Promises that fuel our entire world.